sister moon, I seldom see you, seldom hear your tune, preoccupied with selfish misery.
Greetings, Uncle Travelling Matt here, and I'm talking to you from somewhere in the middle of nowhere. A nice little kind of hillside with the sun shining down. It's a glorious day, and I am somewhere past the village of Lonano. So there was a bit of worry today that it would rain, but it rained in the night, and so far it's been really nice. I woke up this morning, had my breakfast in Prato Vecchio, if that's how it's pronounced, and then I walked very quickly the 2.5 kilometres into Stia, where I picked up the path. It was very flat, very easy, but it was quite beautiful. The mist on the mountains and the castle in the distance behind Stia was really nice. And then there was a steep climb out of Stia, and I passed a modern Franciscan chapel. Unfortunately, it was shut. And then a beautiful shrine dedicated to the Virgin, where I prayed. And then onto a road where I walked along to Lonano, and it was glorious. Absolutely, really, really beautiful. Feel so much better today than yesterday. I think the good sleep did me some good. And maybe the stuff I got from the pharmacy as well. That said, I'm only halfway through the walk today, and it could get a lot tougher later, but we shall see. At the moment things are good, and it was a steady climb all the way. A couple of things. I stopped at a very nice church in a place called Amma. Fortunately, the church was shut, but I stopped there, and it was glorious. And I also found some Etruscan ruins, and I went to look at them, but they were signposted off, and I walked probably about 500 meters, and they were nowhere near us, so I didn't see the Etruscan ruins. But this whole area was big with the Etruscans, and the Upper Arno Valley was considered holy land for them. So yeah, that's that. Lonano Church was nice. It recently been redone, actually. There was pictures where they showed the old roof being taken off and a new one put in, but it's really pleasant. Nice Romanesque church, and now I'm walking along a path to Casalino. Now I'm going to show you my guidebook here, so you can see the map, and there's this solid line and a dotted line there, yeah, where my thumb is. The solid line is the recommended route, and that takes you really up the mountain and to the Eremo Camaldoli. Eremo means hermitage. I'd like to go, but it just looks a killer of a route, and I think how my ankle was yesterday, I've got to be a bit careful. So I'm taking the other route, which is the lower one, which is much flatter and a lot shorter. So I'm hoping it's not too bad, because one shouldn't get one's hopes up, because I did that yesterday and it was horrible. But that's that. So let's see. I think I'm about halfway along now. So, and I've just had a wonderful, wonderful lunch of cheese and olives and some kind of tomato sauce stuff. It's really nice. And yeah, and a little bit of wine, and it's great. And it's back walking. So keep traveling. Greetings, Uncle Travelling Matt here, and it is the beginning of day 5 of my Camino de Francisco de Assisi. But actually, I'm going to talk about the end of day 4. I made a video while I was high up in the mountains before, and as you know, it was kind of quite a good day, that one. Not a lot to report afterwards, in that I walked, it's probably about another 6 kilometers, something like that, I think. And it was all quite flat by the standards of here, or downhill, but not a worrying downhill, along the beautiful paths in the forest. And the weather was lovely, and yeah, that was good. I was very footsore and achy by the time I got in, and for the last kilometre or so my ankles started to hurt again. But I got there. I was absolutely shattered though when I literally went to bed and was kind of comatose for an hour or so. But then I raised myself up and went to church. So I'm staying tonight, or I stayed last night, in the monastery of Camaldoli, which is one of the most important monasteries in Italy, I believe. It's a Dominican monastery. And I mean, for me, this is a highlight that I actually get to stay in a working monastery. And it's quite a simple room, but what a view. I mean, what an unbelievable view from the window. And the cross above the desk there, you see, that is the actual, a copy of the cross that was the one that converted, as you might say, St. Francis. I saw the original in Assisi when I went there, and I hope to see it again, of course. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, I got to the monastery, and the bad news was I never saw Bridget, Christina, or Igor. Now I know Bridget and Christina are walking because they'd signed a guest book in one of the shrines earlier on, so I knew they were ahead of us. But I think they must have checked into our hotel and didn't see them. But I did see the other Bavarian pilgrim, and it turns out his name is Fernando, and or Ferdinand, and yeah, he's we had a bit of a chat. His English is better than I originally thought, and at dinner we were on the same table along with two Italian couples, and one of the Italian couples, they spoke really good English. But before dinner I went to church, and obviously all in Italian. It was Vespers, so it wasn't the Mass. But I found it really quite moving, and it was a good chance to just kind of lose yourself in the chanting and just kind of try and reflect. And I found that helpful, although a lot of it was standing up, and I struggled with that and sat down for most of it, even though you're not meant to. They had dinner. This Italian couple were really nice. The gentleman, he was telling me about when he went interrailing when he was young, and he went to Scotland, and he went to the Orkney Isles, and he talked about the Italian church there built by prisoners of war. And actually I visited that church myself a few years ago when I went there with Thomas, and yeah, that was really nice. He really lovely man, and the girl spoke quite good English. She'd lived abroad, I think, and they were just on a day's hike. They were from Perugia, and they were 2 days. I think they were going to hike up to the Hermitage today. I saw them setting off this morning. So that was that. The other couple, I don't know much about them, but they were very friendly. And then went to church again for another service. I think it was called Veglia. And it was some sort of liturgy, but there was more sitting down with that one. It was nice, and it was just nice to be in this space and let it wash over you. The church was not really to my taste. I mean, it was gorgeous and it was beautifully ornate, but it was very baroque, and that's not my style. But you know what? It was good for an hour or so's contemplation, which is what it was all for. There's very little internet here. You have to go to like a waiting room downstairs to access the internet. So I have been online to chat to people, but very briefly. But it's actually been nice. It's given me a chance to do a bit of reading and just a bit of relaxing. And I do feel quite rejuvenated this morning. It's later. It's about 10 o'clock now. I've only got 8 kilometres today. Not easy kilometres, but I've dressed my feet. I've had a hearty breakfast. And so let's get going. Keep travelling.
Brother sun and sister moon, I now do see you. I can hear your tune. So